still quiet, the air still has that crisp morning feel, and there is an opportunity to witness the beginning of something new. And every sunrise is a bit different. Sometimes I wake up to discover the morning sky is exploding with color. Other mornings, it's more subtle. But each morning marks a fresh start, a new opportunity. And that's what I want to talk to you about for a few minutes, is how the thoughts we think in the first moments of our day have the power to determine the rest of our day. Because every day brings with it, you know this, its own set of challenges. And sometimes it can feel like they're coming at us from every direction. Maybe you're facing some personal struggles or some relationship conflicts. Maybe you're dealing with some work pressures or financial stress or health concerns. And maybe that feels like it's all happening before lunch. But in my study of Scripture and in my own personal experience, I have discovered something crucial. The thoughts we think in the morning determine the trajectory, not just of our day, but really of our lives. There's a phrase I first remember hearing from my junior high soccer coach. He insisted on us having practice early in the morning, like before school started, and as the sun was rising, we'd come out to the soccer field and he would yell at us to win the morning. He would line us up for sprints. No, he didn't run any of the sprints. He'd line us up for sprints, and with this William Wallace-like energy, he would implore us to win the morning. And most of us, we were tolerating the morning at best. If it were up to us, we'd still be sleeping in our beds. But over time, I just discovered this profound wisdom in those words. There's something powerful about starting the day with intention, about choosing to take our thoughts captive before most have even opened their eyes. Our morning thoughts become, if I can use this picture, like a rudder of a ship where it might seem small and it's unseen by other people, but it is incredibly powerful in determining our direction. When we look at the heroes of our faith, we see this consistent pattern of early morning intentionality. Abraham rose early in the morning to worship and split with the burnt offerings. Moses rose early to meet with God on Mount Sinai. Gideon rose early to discover God's favor. Hezekiah would begin his days with worship. Job made it his habit to rise early and to offer sacrifices on behalf of his children. It seems that God's favorite time to meet with people is in the mornings. You recognize this throughout the Psalms. Psalm 5, verse 3 says, "In the morning, Lord, you hear my voice. In the morning, I lay my request before you and wait expectantly." Psalm 143, verse 8 says, "Let the morning bring me word of your unfailing love, for I put my trust in you. Show me the way I should go, for to you I entrust my life." Psalm 59:16 says, "But I will sing of your strength. In the morning I will sing of your love, for you are my fortress and my refuge in times of trouble." Psalm 88:13, "But I cry to you for help, Lord. In the morning my prayer comes before you." And so we see this throughout the Old Testament, and when Jesus is living his life, he practices this same intentionality. The Gospel of Mark tells us of Jesus that very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he got up. He left the house where he was staying and he went to a solitary place to pray. And I would just argue that if the Son of God needed that early morning time for preparation and connection with the Father, then how much more do we need it? Maybe you're thinking, hey, sounds nice. I'm just not a morning person. I get it. Like some of you don't even believe in God till after lunch. Some of you, in fact, get a little angry for me just mentioning the idea of waking up early in the morning. But stick with me, because I would argue that even if your morning may not start as early as some, whenever it starts, it's still the most important part of your day. Whether you wake up at 5 a.m. or 10 a.m., the idea is that those first moments and thoughts will shape everything that follows. Benjamin Stahl and Michael Zander wrote a book called My Morning Routine, How Successful People Start Every Day Inspired. And in the book, it explains that when you have a positive morning routine where you're spending your first moments doing things that you've decided to do in advance, you're starting your mornings with intention. And they argue that when you start your morning with intention, you bring those morning wins with you into the rest of the day. And I would just tell you, I have discovered this to be true in my life. I have found that the days I win spiritually are usually days that start the same way, with me being intentionally focused on truth, on God's words, on prayer. It's not about perfection, it's about direction. It's about setting the trajectory of our day by taking our thoughts captive. It's about establishing a pattern before the world tries to force one on us. When I skip this time and I dive straight into whatever it is, emails or social media or the day's demands, I can just feel the difference. It's like trying to build a house without laying the foundation. And here's what I want you to understand. Like, taking your thoughts captive and being intentional with your thinking and doing that in the morning isn't just about having a better day. That's not really what this is about. It's about being transformed. Psychologists have a word for this. Priming is the word. Like, if you put primer on a wall before painting, the primer changes how the paint adheres and appears. And priming your mind at the beginning of the day with truth, with purpose, doing that in the morning changes how everything else in your day sticks and how everything else shows up. And so you might be facing some difficult circumstances. Like, things might feel overwhelming for you. And it's really tempting in the morning to just immediately feel the weight of that relationship struggle or that health challenge or that financial pressure. But remember, how you start your day determines how you live your day. And while you cannot control everything that happens to you during the day, you can control how you prepare your mind to respond to it. And when you start the day by being intentional with your thoughts, it makes it much less likely that you'll be conformed to the patterns of this world as the day continues. You're just going to be less likely to be swept away by anxiety, less likely to be unintentionally derailed by distractions, less likely to be consumed by comparisons or feel beat down by criticism. Because the first thing you're doing is building this mental and spiritual resilience, preparing yourself for whatever the day might bring. So in a very real sense, winning your morning means winning your life. It's like this compound interest for your soul, where you make these small, consistent investments with God in the morning, and it just adds up over time. Every morning, God gives us a fresh start. He gives us a new beginning. The prophet Jeremiah wrote about God's mercies being new every morning. In Lamentations 3:22 and 23, he writes, "Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for his compassions never fail." Then he says, "They are new every morning." And not just like recycled new, it's new like brand new. That when God gives us his mercies in the morning, they're brand new. When God cooks breakfast, he never serves leftovers. Each day brings fresh grace and fresh strength and fresh opportunities. And so I just want to challenge you, tomorrow morning, before you do anything else, take those first moments to be intentional with your thoughts and set your mind on things above. Start your day with truth. Don't reach for your phone first thing. Reach for what will feed your soul. And then create a morning routine that works for you. Maybe it starts with just 5 minutes of quiet time. Maybe it's reading a psalm and writing down what stands out to you. Maybe it's taking a walk and talking to God out loud about the day ahead. But whatever it looks like, make it an intentional time to take your thoughts captive. And I'll warn you, you're going to have to guard your mornings fiercely, because the world is going to try to steal this time from you and God through, late night Netflix binges and early morning notifications, through endless demands that just creep up into the first moments of our days. But transformation is going to happen one morning at a time, one thought at a time, one choice at a time. A few years ago, I was in a season of life where everything to me felt out of my control, just kind of a chaotic time. Work deadlines were piling up, relationships were strained. I felt like I was constantly running on empty. I was reacting to life instead of responding to it with purpose and intentionality. And the turning point came for me when I realized that I had surrendered control of my mornings to whatever urgent thing was screaming the loudest. Usually my email inbox or some notification on my phone. And I knew I had to reclaim my mornings. And the change didn't happen dramatically. It started small, just 15 minutes earlier than usual. And instead of reaching for my phone, I reached for my Bible. Instead of letting the world's voices be the first ones I heard, I chose to listen to the still small voice of God. And over time, those 15 minutes became 30 minutes and then 45 minutes. And that transformation that I was starting to experience wasn't just on my schedule, like it was in my spirit. And what I've discovered is that our morning routine isn't just about being productive people. It's about perspective. We take time to center ourselves in God's truth before facing the day's challenges. We're building this internal compass that helps us navigate whatever storms may come. So think about your morning like preparing for a journey. You wouldn't start this cross-country road trip without checking your map and filling your tank and making sure you have what you need. Yet that's what we often do. We launch into our days without any spiritual or mental preparation. And we wouldn't expect our phones to run without charging them, but we expect this of ourselves. We just want to run and go without taking the time to be recharged, be renewed, to start our days in step with the Spirit. The beautiful thing about morning routines is that they are, I think, deeply personal. Like what works for one person might not work for another, and I just want to give you freedom here. The key isn't to copy someone else's routine, but to discover what helps you connect with God and to prepare your mind for the day ahead. And so maybe you're a parent with young children and your morning routine happens during their first nap time. Maybe you work night shifts and your morning is actually the evening, but the principle is intentionally setting aside time to prepare for what lies ahead. And so I want you to think of your morning routine as laying tracks for the train that your day is going to run on. Without tracks, even the most powerful train can't get anywhere. But with these clear, well-laid tracks, even the heaviest load can be moved with purpose and direction. And your morning routine is laying those spiritual tracks, is providing direction and purpose and boundaries for everything that follows. As we close, let me leave you with some questions to reflect on here. First question is, what voices currently have first access to your mind each morning? Are they voices that build you up spiritually or voices that wear you down? Another question is, what's the biggest obstacle keeping you from establishing a meaningful morning routine? Is it external, maybe like a schedule or responsibility that needs to change, or is it internal, like it's a habit or mindset that you need to address? And then one more question here is, where could you create a physical space in your home that invites morning reflection and spiritual connection? Remember, the goal here isn't perfection, it is direction. So start small, be consistent, and watch how winning your morning begins to transform your day. The choices you make in those first waking moments have the power to echo throughout everything that follows. I want to close by telling you a story. Remember, as we've talked about, Jesus loved to tell stories as a way to help people not just receive information, but to think about how they think and then apply that to their lives. As this story is told, think about your thoughts in the mornings. Consider how what you look for and what you focus on at the start of the day sets the spiritual trajectory for the rest of your day. In a distant land, there was